It's an honor to be sitting in front of such a tight group of shluchim. What we're hearing from the Anhala this year is that it's truly a unique shir, a unique class. The Bachrim waking up, the Miftzah is in Elul, and it's very, very, very special to hear. And Amir Hashem, a very, very successful year is ahead of every one of you, and it's all up to each and every one of us to hear. We're here to serve you. We're not here to make a vad. We're here to serve you. Anything you need, we're here for you. So with that, I would like to call up 5 of the most veteran shluchim that we have, handpicked from 2 years of shluchim. So we're talking here about 900 Bachrim. Eli Hecht from Eli Mesifta, Mendel Greisman from New Haven Mesifta, Menchi Blooming from Miami Mesifta, Mendel Lane from LA Zal, and last but not least, Avremi Matisov. You have the mic?
I have a mic over there. There's one.
Okay, very good. We have 2 mics. Okay, the way it's going to work is as follows. You guys are very busy. We have dinner on the way. We don't want to keep you waiting, so this is how it's going to work. It's called 5 for 5. 5 Talmidim Hashluchim, each talking for 5 minutes on 5 different topics. See over here, everything beautifully laid out. After each topic, we're going to have about 30 seconds to 1 minute just for any of these veteran shluchim that would like to share something extra, an insight, a story, something. I could just tell you from me personally, when I was going on shluchis back in Pidalad, there was, we didn't have this. We had actually one shliach that came and spoke about something very, very special. And I still remember the practical tips that he gave. We're going to be focusing on practical, not, inspiration, practical tips, advice. Okay, I'm going to be starting off with a very special shliach, Menchi Blooming, somebody that I had the chus to be on shlichus with for 2 years. I could tell you firsthand, if any of you would have just 10% of what Menchi Blooming gave to the Bachrim in Miami over the next year of shlichus, your yeshiva is going to look different, you're going to look different, the Bachrim are going to look different. Without further ado, Menchi Blooming to share with us the Bachar Sheikh relationship. How do we do it? What does it mean? And how are we successful?
I think when a lot of Bachrim Shluchim look at the Bachrim Shliach relationship, there's sort of like 2 ideas which are both kind of wrong. The first one is like you want to go in, you have your guys, you have your friends, your group you're going with. You want to hang out in the Shluchim office, you want to do the big mitzvahs, you have like Geshmaka signs posting your status. You want to have like a nice Geshmaka time, Geshmaka year or 2 and just for being with your guys. And like, what do I have to do with a bunch of 15-year-olds? Like, why am I supposed to hang out with them? And like, I have better things to do with my time. And the other extreme is guys go in saying, I'm going to be mashpia on the place, I'm going to turn the place over, I'm going to turn a bacher's life, make him do a full 360, make him completely chassidish bacher and change his life forever, and fabring the whole day and night. And I think both are a little bit wrong and maybe not the kavanah that everyone wants us to do. On the one hand, if you're going to be the shliach who the bachrim don't know you, you never step out of the office, they know you only when you come up to put a sign about a mitzvah or to harass them by fabringing, but they don't know you, they never speak to you, then when you tell them to do something, you're going to have much less an effect than a shliach who knows the bacher. You see him, good morning, how are you? Just speak about his grandmother, things that he actually cares about, and then you tell him, come learn a sicha, come do the mitzvah. It means a lot more than a guy who they just know as the guy in the office who is hanging out with his guys. On the other hand, it's Talmidim Hashluchim, not Talmidim Mashpiyim. You're sent as a Talmidim Hashluchim, not Mashpiyim Hashluchim. You're sent as a Talmid. You're one of the Bachrim. You have much more to offer as a Chaver, as a Mashpiyah. I say the Charal, Knei Chaver. I think Shluchim are much more in the Knei Chaver category. Mashpiyim yeshivas have, hopefully, or some yeshivas have Mashpiyim, and maybe sometimes you need to act in that role. However, on the majority of the time, your Knei Chaver is much more valuable to the Bacher. When he sees an older Bacher who he respects, who's a good guy, he's one of the Bacherim, he talks to us, he hangs out, all the Geshmaka stuff. And he also wakes up in the morning to Chassidus, and he's fabrings, and he knows how to learn, and he enjoys it, and he goes to Mevtzayim, he has a koch, and all the Geshmaka stuff. It's much more valuable than a guy who comes to preach. Of course, the more close you get to Bacher, the more it's going to turn into that. He's going to ask questions and things like that. But I don't think that's where it starts off. And one more thing, I think a lot of focus sometimes in the relationship part also is a lot of bullshoving and stuff, and that's very, very good, very, very yishmak, and it's good for you and the Bacher. But a big focus has to be on the learning. Pasha, learning with a Bacher. You tell a Bacher, come learn a Sicha. Something I noticed much more my second year also, that's actually a very, very strong way to connect to somebody is by learning. And obviously, the best bullshovs are also over open svarim. But obviously, that's not the main thing. Pasha learn Torah with them, and Pasha give them a Rebbe that maybe they haven't seen before. And I'll end off with few small things, if I may. I think maybe just a few small tips. Might be obvious, but I think just small things that might be helpful. Is a lot of times I feel like shluchim are like uncomfortable to reach out to bachrim sometimes. Like there's a bunch of bachrim. You walked into a place. There's already a bunch of things flying. There's already a year before shluchim also sometimes. Like they already have the place under control. They already have their bachrim. They already have their guys, and you find it uncomfortable to sort of break it in. 99% of the time, the bachrim are waiting for someone to talk to them. When they're in their house during vacation, and you're in Crown Heights, and like you could do your own thing, or you text the guy, he's 99% of the time bored out of his mind, doing nothing, hoping somebody texts him, hey, what's up? You want to learn something? What's going on? How was Yom Tif? And things like that. So that's number one. Bachrim Pasha waiting for that. Another thing would be that, again, don't, I think I said this before already, but I say it again, don't be upset or surprised if you're like working with a bachar for a long time, you feel like you had a very strong pull with him, and for ringed and whatever, you got very involved with him, and then it didn't have the result that you wanted, and you didn't make a full 360. It was never your job in the first place. And when you go on with Tzayim and you put on the phone with a guy, you're not mad at him for not keeping Shabbos. Everything you can get a bachar to do, you get him to go to mikvah one time, do some chitas, to learn a krach, the siches, whatever it is, every single thing you get him to do is the ultimate kavanah, and that's what Rebbe wants us to do much, much more than trying to turn over a guy's whole life. And I'll end off with my last note, is you can do shluchas in a way of like your job, and you do all the stuff that you're supposed to be doing. You show up to Chaversis on time every day, you do the mitzvahs, you get the hype, the mitzvahim, and you do all the good stuff. But like you do it as a job, and when it's your time, and that's it. And of course, I think someone else can speak about taking your own sdarim and your own time, and of course it's important. However, the more you throw yourself into the shluchas, the more you give up of your own time, the more when you're on vacation or you're on Ben Azman, whatever it is, the more you invest yourself into the bachrim, the more pa'ulas you're going to see, the more success you're going to see, and ultimately the more it comes back to you, because the Eibishter Bleimish Kim B'chayev, and the Rebbe Bleimish Kim B'chayev, and in Pashit, ask any shliach or shluchas, no one's going to tell you that it didn't change them, and how much, or they'll all tell you how much changed them, and how much they grew, the gashmis, beruchnis, spiritually, physically, in every single way. So, l'chaim and haslachat to everybody.
Shkayach. Anybody would like to add a few points? Okay, moving right along. Thank you very much, Menshi. Beautiful. Eli Zal's famous for their shluchim, famous for their mitzvah Torah, and it is our honor, schus, privilege, and achrayis to really listen, to take notes in your mind, in your heart, from a Talmud Shliach, Mendel Lane, who's still on shluchas, as he shares with us the ins and outs of running a successful mitzvah.
So first of all, just to be mayor on something you said, Rabbi Blooming said that you're not a mashpia, which in this context obviously had his point. Just the Rebbe said it's actually muga to the shluchim that went to Los Angeles, Tav Shalom Ches, that is Zaydach Mashpiyim, therefore he gave each one a kuntas Avos Yisrael. I'm sure that applies to shluchim b'chlal, not just at one specific place, so that's something to keep in mind. Second of all, so when I was able to get the call from Rabbi Darren to speak over here, he told me I should try to give tips and whatever about mitzvahs, so I guess we'll speak very technically. Fine, so I'll say from my experience, over the last year the mitzvahs that were ran in yeshiva there were very little small mitzvahs. That means, let's say before Yeshvat there was a very close like a mitzvah, but never like every 2 weeks there was never like a random small thing with small rewards. It didn't catch people's eyes, and it seems like something just comes and goes. The focus really is that a few big things during the year, and it was bigger things to help them learn. And throughout the year, there's just big things that kept them, they were very long and very consistent, to help them learn. The first one he mentioned was the Mitzvah Torah. Another one was, 20 guys learned the whole Ksus Alpag. I tested on it, the Bavan Sachas. Another mitzvah there was a mitzvah Tanya. The way it was ran was that it was going with the chitas, and there was tests b'chsav, there was 2 maslulim, one was harder, one was easier, and that went till end of year, right before Shavuos, when mitzvah chitas the Tanya ends. And then there was also another big learning one, which was around before Pesach. They went through all the Rebbe Sichos on Pesach and took tests. It was like Le'iyun, in other words, they're very hard tests. They had to learn them well. So Ershtins, first of all, everybody in their matzav, Sifta Zal, like I don't know, you have to feel out exactly what your situation is. But first of all, when you come to a place, you never have to follow what was done the year before that. That's whatever you feel with your other Chavre Hashluchim that this is going to work for these Bachrim. You should always be able to switch things around and do them the way you think will work. Because who says before they are right? You could always could be your taka, the way you'll feel you have to do it. It could be that's the right way. That's also important because if you don't have a kach in what you're doing, the whole thing's not going to work. If you're not invested, the people running this mitzvah, if they're not invested in the mitzvah, they're just doing it because this is what's done and this is what even what Bachrim wants. Let's say a few Bachrim say we want this, but if you're not fully invested, you don't have a geschmack in it, then it's basically batuach kemat that it's not going to work. And that is because of another point, which is that by us in yeshiva, basically all the mitzvahs, let's say the Gemara, the Balpeh, when they learned the Ksuvas Balpeh, kemat everyone that tested throughout the thing learned the Balpeh as well. That means either they tested without a Gemara or they tested with a Gemara, but they were the whole time. They saw that they were spending time. I'll just make a, what's it called, disclaimer. I was not one of the ones that did Ksuvas Balpeh. So just to make that disclaimer. But the guys that did it they learned it themselves. So the Bachrim were able to see. What kept them going the whole time is they saw there was 2-3 shluchim that were schwitzing and also going out of their pants because they're trying to learn the Masechet Balpeh and keep up with the pace. Same goes for any other thing. Any mitzvah that there was, let's say the Tanya mitzvah that was done throughout the whole, it was two tests, either easier one or a harder one. Whichever shliach was running, whichever maslul, you're able to see on him, you're able to go over to him. He wasn't just rating the test, but you were able to see that he was also trying to learn it very well. And because learning go well, he's able to make tests that also, first of all, helps you to make tests that make sense, especially if the Bachrim are learning go well. And it makes much more of a kach by them because they see someone that's involved. So that's another thing. And then Mechlal, another point, mitzad rewards. You mentioned when we mentioned about incentives and how to do certain rewards. It's the way it worked by us is really LA Bachram are not such a big raya, so this could be wrong. But what works by them, I guess by Bachram that are Zal age, whatever, what took them. So there's two things. There's rewards, incentives that come with money, which people, I guess the Bachram that are older enjoy much more because it's like very straightforward. It's not like a raffle on this sefer and that set and the other set. It's very straightforward. You do this, you get this amount of money, you try to make sure that it's masim, fierech with the amount of work they're putting into it. And then by us, there was like whatever, events that they did, like these different events. That I don't know if it's something that other people are into or whatever, but the LA Bachram that are shtickle magusham, that really works. You make a thing, so even though you're spending less money, but I'm sorry if I'm offending anybody over here. Even if it ends up, if you do something in a unique, creative way, whatever, they did random things that had different food and different events and different styles, different themes. So they got Bachram that generally would be like not so interested and made it also exciting. So besides for you have in the end of the event, you have the end of the mitzvah, you get money for the effort you put into it, and it's like it could be a big amount of money, whatever, what they did. And then also to keep them going along the way, after every shlav, after every part, there was something that it was like got them excited because it was like this, unique thing. Same goes if you're involved, if you have to fundraise for the mitzvah, you have to fundraise from parents or whatever. What we realize is that the biggest atzlach from that comes if they know about it way before. If somehow, I don't know how you do it, you could either send out pictures to the parents, depends if you're, I don't know, Masechet Zal really it could be different for each one, but whether it's making a group and sending out pictures of the pulas you're doing, or somehow they know because if it's strong enough, the kids will know. So therefore, when you come to them on the phone and you tell them we're doing this and we need money because we're giving out money to your son or to whoever that did this and this, so because they know already from before and they saw the effect before, either because their son told them or because they themselves heard about it from you, then that makes that part of dealing with it much more successful. And I'll just finish off with this. B'chlal is a big shaila. It's not such a big shaila. It's clear, but there's also people get confused. If you're on shlichus, what's the main thing? Is the main thing just to be a dugmachaya? Or is the main thing to be involved in pulas? In other words, what should you focus on? Should you focus on just you're a shliach, you're shliach l'Rebbe, and the main thing you're here to do is just pasha be a bacher that's learning and davening and doing the right thing? Or should the big emphasis be on doing pulas? So obviously, I'm saying you learned the Rebbe Sichas enough about what a shliach is. A very strong part of it is, and you could say the ikar part of it is being a dugmachaya. But one point you could bring out is that whatever mitzvah you're doing, whatever thing you're doing, whether it's in learning or in whatever it may be, if you are actively being a dugmachaya in the mitzvah that you are doing, that means what you're selling them is not something you're selling them because you want to be a shliach with a mitzvah with I don't know what, but because you truly, but the point I was saying in the beginning, you truly believe this guy should learn Tanya well and you're learning Tanya well, that's why you're doing a mitzvah for them, or you truly believe that the nachas that Rebbe gets from a bacher learning a whole Masechet Balpeh, that's why you're going to learn the Masechet Balpeh and help them learn about Balpeh. That's the strongest thing that could help them. That could be a mitzvah that's matzliach, and also the Bachram will taka be involved in atzlacha the goy. Yeah, wish you all atzlacha rab in your shlichus. Don't get lost. It's a very geshmaka time. L'chaim.
Wow, thank you very, very much, Mendel. Moving right along, to Mendel Greisman from New Haven, Mesivta. This is something very specific. I've known Mendel for many, many years. And one of the beautiful tchunas that is needed by every shliach, brings a tremendous amount of atzlacha, but is also, sometimes you could think it's a little far. It's not really, it's, am I that type of guy or not, which is totally not true. A very important thing is to have the shturim, to have the excitement, whether it's in Mivtzayim Be'ikr, every yeshiva is different. Every yeshiva, some yeshivas, every bacher is going on Mivtzayim on Friday. Some yeshivas, every bacher is learning Shleish Brakim. You have other yeshivas, the bacher are barely keeping Shabbos. The idea is this general excitement, this general shturim that you have, and once you have that, everything else works. I'd like to ask Mendel Greisman to please share with us a few words about the shturim, Mivtzayim with the shturim, in bold.
Shkayach, just a disclaimer, Arik wrote that. I didn't tell him to write that. So, before I start, number one, I would like to thank my dear cousins, Mayor and Arik Darren, for arranging such a beautiful event. And as well as one of my Taira Shluchas mates, Chaim Rappaport, for also being involved. Shkayach, and it's dearly appreciated by everyone. So I'm going to talk about it a little bit. Is Mivtzayim. I would like to give a bunch of practical tips. And before to do that, I want to speak about a little bit of the history of Mivtzayim in New Haven. And then through that, I'm going to give over, hopefully, a few practical tips and stuff what to do. So, as we all know, that 5 years ago, there was COVID, and there was Mivtzayim everywhere, and COVID just hit it. People who used to come into offices that are working virtually, some of them never went back to offices since. And not just New Haven, Manhattan, any place you're going to go to was hit very, very hard. So when I went on Shluchas 2 years ago in Peidalid, I saw that Mivtzayim was getting about 20 tefillin every single week. And I was wondering what's going on over here. So I started looking at the numbers from previous years, and I saw that they were getting 40, 50 tefillin every single year. What's going on? Was it not built up back from COVID? And that's exactly what happened. So I realized that I have to start building it back up. So this is a tip if your place was still not built back up, or if you just want to expand Mivtzayim abroad. The first thing I did is that I looked at notes from previous years. I looked at, I think, Ayin Beis, Ayin Hey. There's a bunch of years that they had very good and well-documented notes, which is a side note, which is a very good thing to do, whether you're running a mitzvah, or you're running Mivtzayim, or whatever you're doing. Document everything. Have everything in an organized Google Drive or on a files, that if someone comes 2 years later, or 5 years later, or 10 years later, they can go back to Tavshin Pei Vav, and they'll see, oh, we went to Mivtzayim here, we did this mitzvah, this worked out, this didn't work out. Maybe they'll get a flyer for a mitzvah. There's so many things, you have no idea what you can be doing and what you can be doing and what you can be helping. We'll get back to this soon. So that's what I looked at, and through that, I saw Roots, which closed down, so I sent Pachim over there. Another great tip, what you can do is, in expanding Mivtzayim, is Google Maps. You go on a computer, it usually works best at 12 at 1 a.m., and you look through streets. You try to find busy areas or buildings near you. The best buildings to try to get into are not these fancy skyscrapers. Usually they have security, and especially if you have Bachrim going there, there's a 0% chance they're going to be let in. Usually not a good idea to start with those buildings. When you find on Google Maps these 3-4 story buildings, those are the best ones. They usually have zero security. You can go straight to any office and knock and ask anyone if they're Yidden and expand Mivtzayim. Now, a third, and I think the most helpful way, what you can do is, if you want to expand or start your Mivtzayim, is most places where you're going to be on Shlichus, you have Shluchim, which live near you. And they are usually more than happy for Bachrim from Yeshiva to come to do either some Shluchim have Challah deliveries, or they have Baal Batim that they don't have enough time to visit, or whatever it may be. A lot of Shluchim are very happy for you to come down to their area, and they'll give you names. Excuse me. And like this, instead of going to an area which you don't know and Bachrim don't know, and it's going to take you 1 or 2 or 3 months until you get your first few tefillin, here you're going to call up a shliach, and he'll give you an area, or he'll give you even names or houses and addresses, and boom, your first week, you'll start off with 3, 4, 5, or whatever it may be tefillin. That's usually the biggest atzlacha. In addition, most shluchim, usually when shluchim do that, ask them, be confident, will usually pay for the Uber, or for the car rental, or for the train to go to their place. Like this, you get free miftzayim, good miftzayim, and v'idvu ikr that's covered for. Okay, moving along. That was how to expand miftzayim. I'm going to speak about now is something called Google Sheets. Google Sheets is a very, very handy tool. You have no idea. Speaking for myself, I almost had no idea Google Sheets or Excel, what you can do on it. Start off with it, try out on it. When you're doing miftzayim or anything, especially miftzayim has the most details. You want to document everything. Every single thing you want to try to document as much as possible. It will help you throughout your shlichus. It will help you to compare it to other years. It will help previous years. Try to document. You know, most shluchim, they think that miftzayim is mainly Friday. I think Friday is the most easiest day. Friday, just everything happens. The hardest days of miftzayim, for the person arranging miftzayim, is Sunday through Thursday. Because Sunday through Thursday, what you're doing is you want to make sure that everyone who rented a car or laid out money was paid back for. You want to make sure that your duch was sent in. If you have, sorry that I'm getting lost over here. If you have a big yeshiva, New Haven, Knai Nahara, there's 90 bachrim, and something that's going to help them and help you even more is if you're extremely on top of a duch, then it helps you a lot. For a very simple reason. You're going to think whatever and all the tinus that we all know whenever it comes into writing to the Rebbe. If you send in a duch every single week, it will help you focus better on what the goal is and what miftzayim is, and it will also help you in the long term. You can see and compare different weeks, how many tefillin, how many neshek, etc. you had. So there comes running after bachrim, and there's a million stuff that you need to document, and back to Google Sheets, it helps you a lot. Now, when you're first going to put in your first thing in Google Sheets, you're not going to know what you're doing. So if you have someone who's going with you on shlichus that they know how to use Google Sheets, the best is to partner up with them. I had, by us, there's Morty Bucket. He very much knew how to use Google Sheets. If you don't know or no one else knows how to use Google Sheets or Excel, go and use ChatGPT. It's one of the most useful and helpful tools on shlichus. You have no idea. Ask it, how do I do this thing on Google Sheets? It will go and it will explain you and it will tell you and follow it. Take each step properly and it will go and explain you. And you can do a tremendous amount and it will help you a lot and save you a lot of time. Last nakoda that I want to speak about is money. Now, very big thing with miftzayim is in order for miftzayim to function properly, in order for your shlichus to function properly, you need a sufficient amount of money to go for miftzayim to work out. So the ultimate goal is obviously to have a functional miftzayim that all the roots bring in enough tzedakah which cover the miftzayim. But unfortunately, in a lot of cases that doesn't happen, especially bachrim take the tzedakah and whatever, and who knows what. So obviously, when you're fundraising, you have to make a budget, a certain amount of money, which will go towards miftzayim, etc. But another thing which usually happens is usually the miftzayim department and the money department are two different departments. And what's going to happen is after a few weeks, you just blew $5,000 on 3 weeks of miftzayim, and the money department, they're going to see that they have a big lachin kashner, and they're going to come to you and they're going to be like, you're spending too much money, miftzayim got to stop, you have to cut down miftzayim, and you're going to be like, no, what do you mean, we have to do miftzayim, and you're going to say, what do you mean shlichus, and they're going to tell you, no, money is shlichus, and you're going to get into a whole argument. If you have everything documented, if you know exactly how much a rental usually costs, you can see, number one, if people are taking more money, or they're not. Sometimes it happens. Sometimes also you have, okay, I'm talking too long, but if you have a situation and you can tell them, listen, this rental is taking a little bit too much money is costing too much. So then you'll decide together, okay, fine. So route number 26 costs $75, and all the other routes cost $25 or $50. Let's get rid of this route. And a lot of times, what will happen is that you'll find another two. You'll find for those bachrim, and sometimes it comes to a very good outcome. Okay. Either way, l'chaim.
Shkeach. Thank you very, very much. Shkeach. Mendel, this is all going to be recorded, and as I never requested, Tavshin Nun Aleph by the Kinus Talmidim Hashluchim to be written down as well. There's going to be a summary. Not every K'muvon, every prat is important. We're going to have the summaries written by ChatGPT on exactly what was spoken here. So thank you very much, all of you. This is not just for now. Speaking about documentation, this is for many, many years to come. We'd like to ask Eli Hecht to share with us a few words about how to maintain a proper state for yourself. So I don't know, Mendeley, Mentri Blooming, which one was right. Or I think they're both right side, B'negei Lavei Matzvah and in Mazulas. So speak a little bit about how to have the proper Seder, what is a proper Seder, and without further ado, Eli Hecht. Eli Mesifta.
Rumor has it that we're running very late, so we'll be B'Kitzer Nimrotz. I think everything starts with a mindset. Everything starts with a mindset. Over the years, Shlichus, Talmidei Hashluchim could be very much confused that you enter into yeshiva and the yeshiva has a role the yeshiva has 10 shluchim, and you're filling that role of the yeshiva. But it's obviously it's a mistake. A shliach is a shliach l'mishaleach. In other words, you're a personal bacher that's being sent by the Rebbe to a yeshiva to mechazik the yeshiva. You're not a role within the yeshiva. So I think if you have this mindset, this will help you with obviously keeping a seder yourself. I think the hardest seder, at least from my experience, is chassidus in general. At least in LA, the shluchim learn with bachrim night seder, mesifta, anzal. So it ends up being that the morning chassidus, we all know how it works, and then night seder, you're anyway learning with the bacher. It comes that you come morning to night, you didn't open a sefer chassidus, ali b'denafshe. So l'chayr, you have to come with the mindset that as important as davening is, learning chassidus before davening is just as important. I guess just share one last, my favorite part of my 2 years in shlichus. I'll just share one short thing, nothing to do with the topic that I was given. But there's a bacher in LA Mesifta that's coming in, meaning after a couple weeks getting to know the place and what's going on. I knew about this kid who's in Charlotte Mesifta, that him and his family have very much a shaykhis to Mara Shchayra, to say it lightly, and you could see it on their faces. Anyway, so this kid, this bacher, so I made it a point, Pashit, every time I saw the bacher, to say, Aryeh, smile. Pashit, come to him with a big smile and say, smile. Why are you not smiling? It's just smile. The kid, eventually, I did this for probably a few months. Eventually, every time I walked into Zal, the bacher would come over to me with a big smile and say, Nu, Eli, why are you not smiling? And now, Pasha, I promise you, I see him, every time I see him, he has a big smile on his face. So just the type of way you could, just keep in mind, there's a lot of generic ways you could help Bachrin, do a mitzvah, this, that. If you use your seichel a little bit and your chachma, you could find unique and personal ways that you could affect Bachrim in a positive way. And Tzlach Haraba.
Wow, shkeach, muat hamachzik and meruba. Thank you very, very much. Without further ado, we'd like to ask a very, very chashuv bacher that actually just returned a few weeks ago from his shlichus, Tzvei Yar, al derech kibul Lubavitch, Benoit Yerakedesh, Avremi Matasov, and Achre Chaviv, just looking at his name, looking at where he's coming from, and of course, what he's speaking about, everyone pay attention and take what he says to heart.
So, where he's coming from and what he's speaking about, it's important to remember you're all going on shlichus at different places, but your identity is that you're the Rebbe's shluchim. You're not a Brunwa Shliach, you're not an LA Shliach, you're not a New Haven Shliach. Everyone has their own, everyone's being sent to different places, but you're the Rebbe's Shluchim. We finished collecting Schayra in other places. We came to the Rebbe, all of you were by the Rebbe now for a year, and now you're going on Shlichus, you're taking what you got over here by the Rebbe, you're taking it to bring to the other Bachrim. I think it was the first kfutz of Shluchei Kodesh that the Rebbe sent to Eretz Yisrael. There was, before they went on Shlichus, they had a Yechidus obviously with the Rebbe. I believe the Rebbe gave them a Chelik Yud Aleph, L'Koti Sichis, and a soft cover, a special print with a Hakdasha for them in the back. B'chlal, the Rebbe used to give Shluchim very often his Torah, like Mechtavim Klaliyim or L'Koti Sichis. Mendel mentioned before, Kinus Talmidim Yisrael. And before they went into Yechidus, Rabbi Chadakov called them in for a meeting. It's a Geshmak of art. I don't know if it's a vart from the Rebbe, it's a vart from Rabbi Chadakov, but it's a Geshmak of art. He told them that when you go on Shlichus, you need to remember that there's Sheish Schires. The first thing you need to remember is Laman Tizker Sem Tzeis Chameret Mitzrayim. Going on Shlichus is a Yitziyah from all your Mitzarim and Gvulim. When we get to Chibur to the Rebbe to do what the Rebbe wants, it's a Yitziyah Mitzrayim from areas that you struggled in the past. The second Nakuda is the Yom Asher Mad Lefnei Havai B'Cheirev. You're going on Shlichus, you're going far. You spent a year in New York, you spent a year by the Rebbe, you're going away. You have to remember the time that you spent by Matan Torah, the time you spent by Har Sinai, by the Rebbe's Farbrengens. Today the Tzir Advarim is a little bit different, but we all spent time by the Rebbe. We were here in 770, by the Oyel. We're more conscious, even just being here, living in New York City, being around in the Rebbe's city. You're more conscious all the time of where you're standing, what you're doing. You spend time with the Rebbe, you learn the Rebbe's Torah, and now you're going on Shlichus and you're bringing that further. That's a very important thing to remember. The third thing, Amalek, in the beginning of the Shlichus, you go with a fire. It's exciting. You're the Rebbe's Shluchim. On a cold winter day in the middle of Tevis at 7:25, your Lav Dafka, you're going to feel the same chayis that you felt at the beginning. And Befrat, if it's already 7:35, then it's already, you already lost it. So not to be disposed from this Amalek and to continue weiter. If you're not going to go in with the richtige uplik for shlichus, it can bring chas v'shalom to asher iksaftas Hashem alikecha. Fifth one, an important one. Sometimes it can be hard. Miriam, to never speak lashon hara about other shluchim. If there's issues, talk it out, work it out with each other. Don't speak lashon hara behind someone else's back. And the sixth thing, Shabbos, the people that were in the Yechidus, in the Yechidus after, in the meeting before, Rabbi Chadakov described that Rabbi Chadakov raised his voice and said that Shabbos is Yom Shekuli Shabbos U'Menucha L'Chayei Ha'Elamim. So if it come in a tug, was mevedarfen stein fahren meshaleach, and you're going to have to tell him, Asisi Yeshlichuscha. You need to remember that a day is going to come. So before everyone spoke more about practical things, this topic isn't so much of a technical ins and outs. It's more of an afshiz dekeni that you have to remember. There's the Yechidus. I encourage everyone to learn it. I'm going to mention only the Nakuda. There's the Kinus Talmidim Hashluchim to Canada and to France. Beis Derish Chedesh Cheshvan Tafshin Lamed. Very, very Geshmaki Yechidus. There was a kvotza to Bernwa already in Tafshin Chav Beis, but then from Tafshin Lamed it started for a few years of Shluchim until it resumed in Tafshin Mamdalid. But in this Yechidus, the Rebbe, a long story, a lot of interesting pratim around it, but the Nakuda the Rebbe speaks about is that going on Shlichus is like the mashal of Ben Melech, that the Melech sends away in order to test if he's taka loyal to the Melech. It's the mashal that's brought for Yidus and Hashem Lamata, it's a mashal that's brought for Galus. When you're sent away, when you're sent somewhere far, you're not anymore by the Rebbe, you're in a different place. Now is the time when you're able to when you're being put to test and you're able to be megale kaiches that you have, that you're taka a person that's a dai to the Rabbi. There's the three gdarim of shlichus Rebbe brings from Rabbi Yosef Engel, the pa'ula of the shliach, the kayach hamaisa or the guf of the shliach. The Rebbe adds often a fourth darga that the inyanim of the shliach are the same inyanim of the mashaleach. The shliach's identity, who is he? What does he think? How does he feel? What's he doing? His halach yelech, what's behind everything that he's doing? The same inyanim of the mashaleach. Generally, this is the Nakuda of Yichkoilecha that the Rebbe speaks about in Vata Tetzaveh, B'chlal, in Nun Aleph, Nun Beis, Befrat Summer of Nun Aleph. The Rebbe speaks a lot about Gidri HaTachten, that Geula itself should say Geula. the Rebbe wants that the Rebbe sending Amala. It was a select few people that the Rebbe would send on shlichus. There were a few shluchim b'chlal, talmidim hashluchim. Now it became nachlas haklal. We're all going on shlichus, but it's something that the Rebbe expects of all of us. The Rebbe expects of us to be able to go somewhere far and still be able to stand up to what the Rebbe wants from us. In the Sichidus, the Rebbe says that being sent away doesn't mean that it's not a einish chas v'shalom. Adrabeh, it means that they have koiches miuchadim, they're mehamuvcharim, mehamshubachim shebetalmidim. The best talmidim are the people the Rebbe is standing away, because the Rebbe knows he's able to rely on them, that they're going to bring the Rebbe's message to the bachrim there, to the country. Every shlichus has its pratim, has its ins and outs. In the Haggadah of the Sikha, the Rebbe added an interesting nekuda that the years that you're on shlichus away from the Rebbe is chelek milimud hatalmid eitzel rabbi mipu'ulas harav betalmidei. You think you're going away. You're going on shlichus of the Rebbe. It's part of your learning from the Rebbe. It's part of the Rebbe's pu'ula in you. When you're going to go and you're going to do what the Rebbe wants from you, you're going to always remember, say, the Matan Torah, where you're coming from, and the Yom Shabbos Lekache, where you're going to. You should be Zeichet, should be Begula Mitzvah Shlema, but the Shlichus is going to come at a certain point and end. You're going to remember that you have to stand in front of the Mashaleach and tell him that he finished the Shlichus. It's a Chut HaSheder that holds you. So it's a general inyan. It's easy to get caught up in the ins and outs and the pratim and forget about this. Everyone could think to themselves in ways that they're able to make sure to keep this nekud in the front of their mind. But two eights that can help both on a personal level and on a general level. For such an yanim, you need to be kaveh itim. You need to have times that you sit aside and you think about the Mashaleach. It could be when there's the times that you're sending a duch to the Rebbe. That's an Indian maisi. Obviously, it reminds you what you're doing over here. But also time to pasha sit and think. Take time to think about the Rebbe. You're a shliach over here. The shlichus is chayder everything that you do. I came back over here. I sat down for a meal in 1414. And mitamal, I'm eating with my friends, and it's a regular supper. It made me realize how when you're on shlichus, everything that you're doing is part of the shlichus. The chassidus that you're coming to, or that you were matzliach to come to, is a prat in your shlichus. The meal that you're going to eat with the bachrim, you're sitting with the bachrim, you're talking to them, it's your shlichus. The shlichus is something that permeates everything that you do. So you're busy doing it, you need to take a few moments to think about it. And also on a more general level, together with the other Talmidim Hashluchim, when shluchim come together and sit together, whatever they're doing, learning a sikha, farbringing, when you have times that you come together, the Rebbe speaks about this in Taf Shenun by the Kinus Hashluchim, it reminds you that you have the same cause, you have a common cause, you have a Mashaleach that sent all of you, and especially if you take time to learn a sikha of the Rebbe, or befrat a sikha about shlichus, either a sikha, a bracha to Talmidim Hashluchim, or there's Lakotei Sichos and Sefer HaSichos, there's many Geshmak HaSichos about Shlichus. A letter of the Rebbe, whatever it is, when Shluchim come together, it could be from a Lava Malka also. And even when you make a Lava Malka, to start with a Vart of the Rebbe about Shlichus is a Richtig Einyan. To have these moments throughout the year, throughout the 2 years, where you make a point to remind yourself what you're doing over here, and that leads you and guides you throughout. We should be Zeichet L'Yom Shekuli Shabbos U'Menucha L'Chayei Elamim. Even as many of you started the shlichus, some of you didn't start yet. But the shlichus is an inyan nitzchi. Every ma'aseh day Moshe nitzchi meima, and megitzach harayin in the Rebbe's things, and we do what the Rebbe wants. And malas the Rebbe zol durchführen and mir zol nishteren. It's an inyan nitzchi, and we should be zeichet to tell the Rebbe that we're mekayim the shlichus properly. The Rebbe says galus. Take it from me ad mamish.
Amen. Shkaya.
Chaim L'chaim, a good Yom Tov, a good Isra Chag. Halal, it's still in true of a Yom Tov. The Rebbe one time started, I think, Taf Shenun or so. He started with Samachta on Isra Chag. One of the years, you have to ask those who kach sech in Yanim. But so we're still in the true of Simchas Torah. We're still in the true of Yom Tov. Von mir dann kommt Zog L'chaim. Und Uften, was man darf Uften, L'chaim, L'chaim. Today's Hayom Yom for Isser Chag. The Rebbe talks about the union of Verbringen that has to lead to this. One of the Yisedus of Teres Chassidus is the union of Yisvadus, and it has to lead to Avos Yisrael, has to be B'teich Avos Yisrael. Although we have a moment of sagen a shafe word, aber es darf sein even Avos Yisrael. So we'll try not to be too sharp and try to be nice. And hopefully the Verbringen will accomplish what it has to accomplish. I remember, just before we introduced the main speaker and the Mashpia, V'chulu, Reb Yael was once Verbringen. And I thought about this word as I was watching the panel of the 5 former shluchim. Not chas v'shalom former, ki yidua the kedusha dazam mekayme v'chulu, the so shluchim, but the bepel shluchim. And Reb Yael teached the word. We're all taught always that the inyan of a ner lahoir is the mahus of a bacher. Neris lahoir. But what does neris lahoir actually mean? So sometimes you can think that, right now we're going on shlichus. You did everything you had to do in your yeshiva years. Now you're going to become program directors wherever you're going. You're going to be ner lahoir onto someone else. That's not what ner lahoir means. Rabbi Yael was saying this because it's Mitzrayim. A bacher thinks he goes to Mitzrayim Friday afternoon, he becomes a ner lahoir. A ner lahoir, that means you give light to someone else. You illuminate another person, another nefesh, another either yid or nishkin yid lahavdil. The vart of the ner lahoir means that 6 days a week, or 5 days a week in the yeshiva schedule, Migzetzen, Megan Nigla, and Chsidnis, Megdal Variches, Misbenus, Mikvah Fardem, Medals. And then on Friday, you want to Mitzrayim, automatically it caught fire. A ner lahoir, it doesn't mean that, okay, now I'm a shliach, I'm going to a community, I'm going to a yeshiva, and yeshiva gufa, yeshiva gdela, yeshiva katan, whatever it is, and then I'm going to catch fire. You catch fire once you're a ner. And how do you become a ner? Rabbi was talking then, you become a ner through the 5 days of the week that you learn as mefirstech wie sie darf sie sein. That's when you have the koach to be hoir. You can't be a ner lahoir of an art. It doesn't work that way. So Hestos and andere Wörter, many of you, or everyone here actually, everyone is going on a shlichus one way or another. And just like shlichus in the mature way of the word of the older shluchim mizakt, there's a campus, and there's a community, and there's the Meishav Zekanim, and there's the various sees this, see kids, sees. The same thing is in this kind of shlichus. Ad megeiten a shlichus, it's not a geya if you're going to yeshiva. It's not a geya if you're going to a community. It's not a geya if your shlichus is on Beis Chabad. I understand today you're kind of hard of the big sign outside of Lotera, telling it the whole Lubavitch where everyone is going. If you're going to Beis Chabad, if you're going to this place, you're going to that place, it's a beautiful sign. It's a nice tenuah for Crown Heights to know there's another world out there, the world of shlichus. It's a beautiful reminder. But I'm not sure if everyone gets into that side of the parkway. It's a very nishtarke nekuda. The vart is that in every single one of us, wherever we're going, it's not a geya, the tzir of the shlichus. It's not a geya if it's a shiva, if it's gdela, shiva ketana, if it's not a yeshiva, if it's a community, if it's a Chabad house. It's not a geya, the tzir of the shlichus. The geya is the shlichus gufam. We just heard from Meishanu and others the tremendous impact that the Bacher made when they came Chav Zayin, Chav Ches, the earliest groups of shlichus. The Rebbe said in that Yechidus, I think the last words, Biz as a ganze Medina, Biz wird machen von der ganzen Medina, a chassidische Medina. It's very, very interesting lashon. I don't know if you find that anywhere else. So machen von der chassidische Medina. But what's even more interesting is that sometimes we can think the shlichus then was talking to Melbourne. The Rebbe sent Bachrim then to Chav Zayin to Melbourne. Today, I'm going to shlichus. Either I'm not happy with the group I'm going with, or I'm not happy with the place I'm going. These things are all valid tinus. But the one thing is that every single person here has in the room, we're all going on our shlichus of the Rebbe. And we all have the schos to bring the chayis, and to bring the lichtigkeit of 770 to whichever corner of the globe we're going. And the main thing is, medaf gedenken, myself included and everyone included, At Neris Lahar, the entire shlichus is, in order to illuminate someone else, you have to be a ner yourself. And to become a ner, it takes the full week. It doesn't just take that afternoon or whatever it is. So l'chaim, before we call up unser guest Mashpia, Chas v'sholom, not a guest. He's always here. He's always in 770, but his guf, Gashmi, is in the other side of the world, in Chasik Kader Ha'elyon, or after Tachten, Shein Tachten, Lemata Mimenu, down under. I just want to conclude, before I continue next, is that I often walk into shluchim offices throughout my travels. I go to different yeshivas and I see shluchim office, a new musik, a new shluchim office in yeshiva. And it's covered with signs. It's beautiful. Covered. Kleine Hara, today you had Canva and AI. Doesn't take too much time out of your Yishkida Basmada to make the signs, and it's beautiful. Azay Daf Zayin. But Bachrim, Daf Gedenken, Bimkeimcha is in Zal. Bimkeimcha is not in the office. Bimkeimcha is in the Zal. Bimkeimcha is to show Dug Machaya. Was is Shkida Basmada and Nigla, Shkida Basmada and Dach. And this is the year, on a personal level, this is the year you should go through a sugya. Goes through the first four Chalakim Kudasichas. It will change your life forever. Go through all the Rebbe Hadronim. Go through the Purim Fabringens. Go through the Simchas Torah Fabringens. You can learn Purim Fabringen, by the way, in middle of Kislev, in middle of Nisan, it doesn't matter. It's to have a sugya of the Rebbe and Kab. Say Nikla also. If that's your Kab, that's your Kab and Chassidus, whatever it is. This is the year you take ownership of your Limud Torah. This is the year that you take ownership of anything you wanted to do throughout all your years. This is the time. There's no Hakbadas, official Hakbadas from the Anhala. Of course, you have to listen to Anhala, but the Seder HaLimudim is not the same. So it's an unbelievable opportunity to go through a sugya of whatever it is, which you'll keep for the rest of your lives. So it's my schus and honor to call upon the mashpia of Yeshiva G'dela in Melbourne. Chas Shalom is not a Medina that's far, but it's not a Medina that's not near, Kiyudua. And we have here Yankiv Wiener to verbring with us and to be Masber, give us verstehen what it means, the Mechus of a Talmidim Hashluchim mit den ganzen Brenn. Harav Wiener. Bevakasha.
First of all, I want to thank Atomim, Ayokar, Nechman, Van Naila, Benzee and Pearson. I didn't know he's a person of inspiration. Benoisiv of all his other milas. This year is the year. I'm going to finally change. This year is the year I'm going to get involved in a sugya. Baruch Hashem. So, Baruch Hashem for his wonderful introductions. I don't have to give an introduction. The truth is, it's very unusual for me to speak to people that are not my Talmidim. Usually it's B'yoidayu Makire Koamina, so that's my shlichus. So therefore, I have to do my shlichus. So what I'm going to say here today, I'm talking to you B'tur Chaver, as a friend, and to share with you from my own personal experience when I was a shliach habacher in California, from Mem Aleph to Mem Gimel. And hopefully it'll help you in your shlichus. So before we start with some nekudas, first of all, Poischen bebracha, Poischen bedvar malchus. We start with a word from Rebbe. There's a famous sikha in Chelik Tezvav, where the Rebbe asked the famous question, and this is brought down in this forum, starting with the Yerushalmi. Why does the Torah start with a beis? Why doesn't the Torah start with an aleph? So the Yerushalmi says, because aleph is Meloshen Order, it's the Resh Tevis of the word Order, and beis is Meloshen Bracha. So therefore the Torah starts with Bereshis. So the Rebbe, one of the kashas the Rebbe asks, on this pshat, a klotz kasha, you can find many other words with aleph that represent the union of bracha, something positive, and you can find many words that start with beis that represent something negative. L'chayra, Seder in Torah is Torah, and aleph comes first. So l'chayra, the Torah should start with aleph. And the nekudah from the Rebbe's answer is that we start with beis because taka, the learning Torah, the limud Torah is already the second step. Before we start learning Torah, we have to know what Torah is. And the Rebbe brings the famous Gemara, which you had many times in Chassidus. The pasuk says, "Al ma'av the haaretz." Why was Eretz Yisrael destroyed? Why was there a plague? Whatever the story is, and the pasuk says, "Al ozvam es Torasi," because the Yidden went away from Torah. And on that, the Gemara says, "What's the pshat? They went away from Torah." Al shalei baruchu b'Torah tchila, because they didn't say Birchas HaTorah. And everyone knows the famous Bach. It's always brought in Chassidus. So, what's so gefällig? They didn't say Birchas HaTorah, but they're learning Torah. And the diak is because Ozvam es Torah si, they forgot that the Torah is Elokus. They learned Torah as a subject, as something intellectual, as something which is Tifa Seichel, but they didn't realize that it's the Eibush himself. And under the Verta, in Torah, there's two things. There's the union of Torah as Kedushas HaTorah, that it's a Reisa, V'kutshe B'richu Kul Echad, it's the Eibush himself. And there's the union of Torah, Yediyas HaTorah, Seichel HaTorah. And if someone learns Torah and he just learns it as a subject, as something intellectual, that means that he missed the whole point. Like the Gemara says on the pasuk, "V'zois haTorah shesam Moshe v'nei bnei Yisrael." Why does the pasuk say "V'zois haTorah shesam Moshe v'nei bnei Yisrael"? He could have said "Ashanosan," and the Gemara says it says a sin because it's interchangeable with a samach, because zocha nasali sam chayim. If you go to Torah with the right attitude, Torah can't make a mistake, Torah is always right, v'chulu v'chulu, then it's Naseh Leisam Chayim. But if Rachman al-Flan, somebody goes to Torah with the wrong attitude, then it becomes Sam Movis. So the first thing, L'gabe Shlichus, is that whatever your relationship with the Rebbe was till now, it's nothing compared to what your relationship is with the Rebbe from now onward. That's pshat shluchei shel odom kamoisei. And I'm telling you, talking again as a chaver, as from my own experience, that, so we're by the Rebbe, we're by Fabrengens, and we're kochen sich in Yonim, but you didn't feel that closeness of shluchei shel odom kamoisei. And that's pshat, it's the aleph. It comes before the beis. The beis means we talk about what sort of shlichus this person has, what sort of shlichus this person has, what's the avodas shlichus. But before that, nichnas b'sholem, yotze b'sholem, you have to know what it means to be a shliach. What it means to be a shliach, it means today and weiter, your relationship with the Rebbe is different. It's deeper, it's higher. You're a shliach. Who are you? It's an existential thing. And if you say you're a shliach, monzach von dir, an inyan von shluche shalodem kemoisei. Yesterday you were not in this category of shluchei shalodem kamoisei. And under Werte, it's not pshat now, you're a better chassid, you're a higher chassid, you're a smarter chassid. No. It's a naya geder. It's a whole new mahus. Shluchei shalodem kamoisei. So that's the aleph who's come far the base. And when you look at yourself like that, you'll demand of yourself much more. Because I'm a shliach. And shluchei shalodem kamoisei. So that's the first point, and I think it's the most important point. Now, the other two things I want to say, this is not rocket science, this is dvarim pshutim, but this is what I feel is very, very important. And you could say this, that this is important, b'chlal, something that has to be spoken about again and again and again and again. Even though you could say we speak about it, and it becomes like, I don't know what, like dull or it loses the impact. And what is that? About Avos Yisrael. Meret to meret. and everyone thinks they have Avos Yisrael. All those Maimorim that spoke about Sinas Chinam was talking to somebody else. And by the way, that somebody else says it's not Chinam. There's no such thing as Sinas Chinam. It's not Chinam. He's so annoying. That's why I don't like him. Is there one person in the world who admitted that there's such a thing exists? Sinas Chinam, never. You looked in the mirror and you said, hey, I'm such a nice guy. You have no musig. What means Avos Yisrael? Ot der shtikel breit v'sichob is a dainer v'mayner mit esgzog dainer. Now I'm not talking about Avos Yisrael b'chlal. Now I'm talking about the shlichus. I think the most important thing in every single kfutze is achdus. And Taka, I could talk for myself that I believe that what had the most impact on my life is Taka, the togetherness of the kfutze while I was on shlichus. I'm the black sheep of the family. I'm the bad guy. If not for the fact that I was in shlichus with my kfutze, who knows what I would look like? Rachmana litzlan. So this is something which is very, very negeya. You take a kfutze, not everyone in the kfutze were friends before necessarily. Maybe you're in the same class. Maybe sometimes you take 2 bachrim from this yeshiva, 3 bachrim from that yeshiva, whatever the story is. Whatever the story is, now that you're on shlichus, you have to know mamish barcheinu avinu kulonu ke'echad. You have to do everything mamish, make the endeavor that the first thing which is paramount, the first thing which is of supreme importance, the number one priority is the achdus of the kfutza. And the Rebbe's brachas, and the Eibishter's brachas, and that tzloch of the shlichus is going to be tolui in the achdus of the kfutza. Now the second point I'm going to make is a shtickle bestira, but it shouldn't be bestira. Because once you have the achdus in the kfutza, then everything will work out. Because shlichus could be not so easy, especially shlichum in Australia, it's very far away. But the truth is, there's so many stories, that I hear sometimes from Bochum or shluchim speak to me. They're in a kfutza, they don't have really any good friends, they feel they don't have very good friends, whatever the story is. Sometimes shlichus works out. Sometimes people feel the shlichus is not working out. Especially today, noch gimel tammuz, da sachalam is v'esteirim. So therefore, I'm saying again and again, the shlichus has to be be'oifen as the achdus is the number one part of the shlichus for yourselves. As yizol kenem matzliach zayin. The second thing I want to say is that Alter Rebbe says, Nagdomas HaMalakit, as loy kol odom mispol mimash mispol chaveri. And this I'm talking also again, it's a chaver from my own experience. One guy, let's say I'm saying, there used to be Fabrengens in New York when I was in Shlichus, so it's Memalef and Gimel. One Fabrengen, der hebt gerett, wegen, I don't know what. Oisis and a Sefer Torah. So the Shlich reads the Hanocha, wow, you see how the Rebbe stood in this Shabbos about getting everyone signed up to the Sefer Torah? And he's going out of his backs. Bespilus, we have to do something, wow. 2 Shabbosim later, the Rebbe spoke about, I don't know what, Miftzah Torah. Wow, Mamish mit Ashturim, like the Rebbe never spoke before about Miftzah Torah. And so on and so forth. Anyways, this guy who's in the Kfutza runs over to his friend. He says, you see what the Rebbe said over here? We have to turn over the world. The Rebbe spoke about Mishnayos Balpeh. The Rebbe spoke about Miftzah Kashrus. The Rebbe spoke about Torah, whatever it is. And his friend looks at him and goes, okay, no. You're getting excited about that. Next week, this other guy got excited about something else. And he went to his friend, and his friend was not so excited about it. So the word is, Loi kol echad mispol mash mispol chaveirei. So tachlis, sometimes in shlichus you have to know, if you want something done, you have to do it yourself. So that's the paradox that I'm telling you, that on one hand, the ik is in the whole shlichus, and for that sloch of the shlichus is takeh achdus. Which means even if that guy, the other person, the kfutza, is getting excited about something which you're not getting excited about. So, kill him nicht up. Don't make him that he say, don't get so spoil. Whatever, just tell him, I'm not going to be able to, let's say, go be totally involved, but chazak ve'ematz. So the point is that even if the truth of the matter is that if you want something done, you have to do it yourself, and it's true, but nevertheless, it shouldn't be a stira to the achtas, the kvutza, and somehow everyone should feel that we're working together, we're a team. And it's a big nafkim in halacha because even if something's not your baby, because that guy got nespoil from it and you didn't get nespoil from it, but you're still not abgesunded. You understand? Because like the Marshall in Melbourne, the shluchim get jobs. I'm calling it jobs in italics. One guy's in his Miftzayim Fridays, one guy's in his Yom the Pagra making Fabrengens. I don't know what else is there. One guy's in his Miftah Torah, one guy's in his camp. Okay, so each one, let's say, has a job. That's his main Indian. But at the same time, you should feel that when he's talking to somebody else in the same kutz about the Indian, it's not pshat that it's your problem. That's because it's your job, it's your problem. No, it's our problem, but you're the one that has you're the main person that has to worry about this thing. So, what were the three nekudas we spoke tonight? First point was, the Hakdama is that you're now shluchim from the Rebbe, like you heard in the video from Herschel Greenberg, and I think it was Minkowitz, that they felt the Rebbe every step of the way, and they felt close to the Rebbe. And that's because now you shluchim kamoisoi, sanaya geder. It says be'ein areich, whatever was till now. And it's going to have the most powerful impact on the rest of your whole life. And you have to know what you're dealing with. Da wissen, von wem man steht und wo man steht. You're now a shlich from the Rebbe. Es meint sich gar anders. Be'ein areich. Just like becoming a shlich from the Rebbe means your identity is anaya geder be'ein areich. Mele your koiches ha be'ein areich. Und was meint sich is be'ein areich. V'chuli. The second point is achtus. Knock it into your head. Because sometimes kommt nicht an gering. But knock it into your head. That sloche from the shlichus is based on the achtus of the kvutza. And last but not least, sof kol sof, if you want something done, you might have to do it yourself as the leader, because you got excited about this and you think it's important, but your friend is not so excited about this and he's doing something else that's important. So don't look bad at it, that he is nicht as ungezunde wegen dem Minion like you are, because lo kol echet mispol v'mash mispol chaveri. So Messiah echet bebroche, Chaveri soll voran Gesundheit, onkommen Gesundheit, und soll herem zu des Tevis, und befragt beruach Chassidusi.
It's getting a little late already. Verbringen has to start already. It's time to verbringen afterwards, yeah? That means Rabbi Winner said he'll be happy to do so. The concept of Talmidim Hashluchim is very interesting because it has both tchunas, Sayev of Talmud and Sayev of a Shliach. I want to share with you something which I shared with a few other members of 770 in a different yeshiva, and they were very, very nispal, and it made a very big change in their yeshivas. And this is an answer which my Zayda, Reb David Raskin, who was the Menal of 770, who got many answers bekesher to these Mesibas. It was the different parts of the year back in the day, but perhaps it could be shared on a WhatsApp group, a few answers to these Mesibas of Talmidim Hashluchim. Every year, Stam L'Hoyer, my Zayda would send in a pack of duches to the Rebbe of each group to the yeshiva. To yeshivas in Seattle, to the yeshiva in Manchester, to the yeshiva in Venezuela, to Miami, to LA, to Melbourne, wherever the yeshivas were back in the day, and the Rebbe saw every single one of them. Many times got Azkel, many times they got all the duches back together, and it was a klalistic answer. But every group I don't know if everyone knows this, every group that won a shlichus went to the Rebbe at the end of the summer. And how to say there was Bachlal, these as the Anholos Hamerkozis of Teim Chutzmim sent out the Bachrim. It wasn't that the yeshivas sent them out, even till today. The yeshivas sent out the yeshivas send the list to yeshivas Teim Chutzmim in 770, and the yeshiva Teim Chutzmim Merkozis sends out the Bachrim. So calls a man that you're being sent out is under the Rebbe himself, mamish. So bekesher to the bekesher to that answer, which was written sometimes in early chafs. We know that because based on various details that the Hanhala writes, it has to be during those years. And Mezed asked the Rebbe then. He's asking the Rebbe what is the hismanus, the tafkid basically, of the Anhola on the Bachrim. And the reason why I'm sharing this with you is because every single one of you, in a way, shares that tafkid of being Saya Shtukal Anhola and Saya Shtukal Bacher. Meaning to say, remember, when I was a shliach in Miami, Shiv Gedela, Miami, there were Bachrim that felt more comfortable speaking to us than to Anhola. For very obvious reasons. You are in the same, you're a few years older, of course, but you're in the same realm as them. And there's no, by the way, kind of mocking to just to say, if anyone here has side jobs, which many of you I'm sure will have, as dorm counselor, mashkiach, whatever it is, you're not a head counselor, you're the Bachrim's friends. Of course, there has to be a seder, there has to be das, there has to be a seder musudar, but you have to remember, you're not the policeman. You're not a head counselor. You want to connect with the bacher. You want the bacher to be open with you. And if you can show gvura on him, yes, you'll be able to give over a nice duch to Anhola, that you're doing your job beautifully, but you're not going to have much of a shaykhis to the bachrim. And much of a shaykhis not meeting just that year and also in the future. So you should remember that klal. Try to connect. Try to be the bacher's best friend, and not their mashkiach or head counselor. So the answer is as follows. Eini keveya lemi shaykh. The Rebbe said, I'm not going to direct anyone's positions, what they are exactly. I'm not going to define your positions. Aval mi kardim v'le kulam shachasa. What it is lacking is as follows. Nita der koch v'ule gam pachis mizeh loy behalimud de nigla or de chsidis. V'loy be'inin hatzfila. Then the Rebbe makes a dash. Kein ein regesh zugebundenkeit. La yeshiva v'chavivos eleho. Shezeh mashpia gam alanal, meaning that there's no, that is felt side in yonim, the koch and niglan chsidis and everything else. Basically say, once it's felt a relationship, a real connection with the Bachrim, and the Rebbe writes later, Bechem negehi istadrus, making sure that the Bachrim have everything that they need. There's also lacks in tremendous measure. But the point of this minor is a very, very special minor. What is a tafkid of Sayin Anhola and Sayin? Not that you have to tell the Anhola what the tafkid is, but here in the Neged, what is the tafkid of a Bacher, a Talmidim Hashluchim? The tafkid of Talmidim Hashluchim is to be there for a Bacher, that the Bacher should be able to redden off in a hate. That you guys, the 5, 6, however many you are, you should be kalim. That the bachrim should be able. You shouldn't be intimidating. The fact that if you're older, you're intimidating just the fact that you're older. Let a bacher feel comfortable speaking open to you. Let a bacher speak to you about how it's going in yeshiva, how it's going in his personal life, how it's going with his chavedim. Be there. Be emotionally available for the bachrim. Make sure that they know that they have who they could speak openly to. That's Nakoda. And as mentioned before we call up the next speaker, your place is not in the Shluchim office in your yeshivas. Your place is in Zal. And something which is very unfortunate, I've seen this as I was in various meses during the summer, some of you were there as well, in camp and other places, is that unfortunately the smartphone has a very, very bad impact, not just whatever it is, but also on the fact, the connection that you have with your Talmid, with your Chavedim. So all I'm going to tell you is to be smarter than your phone. The less of this is the more Zugebundenkeit with your Chavedim and your Kvotza, and this, as well as Chavedim by the Bachrim. It's Baduk Umanusa. It's proven. So we have with us tonight somebody whose entire life, not just as a Talmid Yeshiva in Yeshiva G'dela, Melbourne, Australia, many, many years ago, some around 20 years ago or so, who himself served as a shliach in Yeshiva G'dela in Melbourne. Adi Mazeh, his shlichus is the B'tzvei Kavim, Saya of Yeshiva and Teim Chtvim, Saya and Hafotza. And there's no one more appropriate to address Talmidim Hashluchim than Harav Shimon Rifkin, who serves as Mashpia and Al Teira Mesifta, as well as the director of CT International, to please continue the forbidding with us.
Mics for the recording, or you need it, or could I speak without the mic? You need the mic? All right. L'chaim, l'chaim. Nu, de oilam sagt l'chaim, chevre, sagst l'chaim, nu? Okay, we have one shliach zelig saying l'chaim. Yetze sein. Also wie bei Verbringen, soll eine sagen, yetze sein de oilam. I want to say l'chaim to Rabbi Winner. I spent 2 years in Australia, and I look back at my time in YG very fondly. Verbringen is very captivating. And I want to give him a bracha, Yarech Yom HaMamlachte. He was sent by the Rebbe, and Baruch Hashem Zet, Visavaxt. It's very hard to get into YG today. There's a lot of Bachrim seeking the tremendous, tremendous uftu of YG Melbourne. L'chaim, Rabbi Winner. I remember I came to Melbourne, I felt like I was on top of the world. Rabbi Winner has this way of mamish telling everybody right what they have to hear at that moment. So I come off the plane 20 hours. My chavrus, then United Airlines, used to give unlimited amount of mashke to the Bachrim. And one of the shluchim, gut getrunken, we came off the plane. It was beautiful. They came to the airport. Rabbi Cohen comes to the airport, then at least. And I come into the first Seder, and Rabbi Winner calls me over. And I think he does this as a minig. He says, "What's your birthday?" I told him my birthday. "What's your Hayom Yom?" Rabbi Winner, you still do it today? Yeah? Wow. This mic is too loud. So I told Rabbi Winner my birthday, Yud Aleph Iyar. What's your Hayom Yom? So I said, it says over there in the Hayom Yom that when you say Rabbi Yishmael, instead of saying V'chan Shnei Chsuvim, you should say V'chein Shnei Chsuvim. And another correction, and this correction. And he looks at me, he goes, "Oi, you're one big mistake." And it was perfect what I had to hear at that moment. Zoals nicht meinen, dus gegangen in YG, du meest bist a greise yatshe, at least then it was a greise, du meest a greise yatshe bedam. And I'm telling you, it was dover beite. Anyway, l'chaim, l'chaim. So I once was talking to the Anhola Voltaire, one of the members, and the Anhola said, we were talking, the Bachrim, they come, how they coming out, they come from a Sifta, they go to Zal, they come to Yishlichis, and this Anhola member was telling me, he says, yeah, in Voltaire over here, we learned and das, und noch, it was through the angle of, we were speaking, you know, how many Bachrim end up in 770? We were speaking, how many Bachrim end up in 770? Was geht davor? Und geklockt ein bisschen, wo gehen die Bachrim? And in my days, they wrote a big article, The Vanishing American Chassidische Bacher. Was tut sich da? Told me, you don't understand. Me geht auf Schlichis, and over there, Don't ask. There's no ashkoche. The Anahola doesn't look after them. There's nobody marking them. There's nobody looking after them. And he's going on, and he's telling me how Dorton would till us, in Mesiftel, in Zal, they're mamish on top. And then they go here, and it's like a cliff. And I was thinking, we had this conversation a long time ago. And then it struck me, one time came back up, and it struck me, He anisenis. There's a Bavusta Maisa. I'll get back to this Nakuda. There's a Bavusta Maisa, the Rebbe, I think it was in the Yuds, the Rebbe went over to someone, say it quickly. The Rebbe went over to someone and he said, you see that Yid there? I want you to go be mashpi on him that he should start growing his beard. So he goes to him, he starts telling him, the Rebbe told him, but tonight, don't say it's me. Don't say it's me saying it. He goes to the chassid, he goes to the non-chassid, or chassid that didn't grow his beard yet, and he says, we're in America now, we eat Shabbos and das, and Efshed Ohebon wax in the board. Nothing doing. He tries again a week later, he goes back, the Rebbe checks in with him, what's happening? He says, ich hab probiert. He's trying, till the guy asks him, what are you nudging me, you nudnik? So he says, you know what? He says, there's so many people here who see that I don't grow a beard. You're a nudnik. So he says, I'm not a nudnik. So why? He slipped. He said, it's coming from the Rebbe. Ey bazei. Okay. A few weeks later, the Rebbe sees this person comes, Phyllis of Abringen, sees a hebt on wax on board. So the Rebbe calls him over and wants to give him a big yasher koyach. So he says, yeah, he klokt sich. But I must tell the Rebbe that I didn't keep the Tanai. I actually slipped. He says, was? He says, I told him that the Rebbe hat mir gebeten, ich soll mashpia sein auf ihm. So the Rebbe said, ich hab gemeint, das ist sein Board. Jetzt sehe ich, das ist mein Board. I thought that it was he who decided to grow his beard. It's his beard. Now I see. Fine, it was a Sarusa Delela that swept him up. And yet, it's his mind board. I once asked a Bacher in Yeshiva in Old Torah. He was the Simcha Stark of the class in Old Torah Mesifta. You know the Simcha Stark? He was the Mamish, the Simcha Stark. We're going on the Shabbaton. It wasn't this year, this past year. We're going on the Shabbaton. So a lot of times I go over to the Bacher and I say, which shluchim do you want to choose? So, and I thought the Simcha Stark is going to choose the shliach that, he's the one always on the mic, and he's the one always, and there's the head counselor, he's the walkie-talkie shliach, and this Bacher tells me that he wants this in the shliach. Now, this shliach is like al derech a carbon copy of Michal der Alter. He sits in the corner, and there's Link Krishme, and there's Retnish Kim Vort Bechlal, and I later asked the Bacher, I said, well, he says, you don't understand. Everybody else, they're just this shliach, and manish, and meintis mitanemes. The Nakuda I want to share with you, it's about 2.5 Nakudas I want to tell you tonight. This is Nakuda number 1. And that is, you're going on Shlichus now. Well, you tell this on Hola member from Alter Zal. He had a sentence. The Bacher finally wants to see that the Mashkiach's not over his head. There's nobody strashing him. Was is dein Bord? Was is sein Bord? What are you? Mit was hältst du? What, the whole time you're going to have the Mashkiach and Nachamol and Nachamol? No, now is exactly what they want to see. They want to see, who are you? And if they're going to see, who are you, who's the emes, das sie das. So that's the Kudah number one. The Kudah number two is, I'll just finish on the Kudah number one. I once saw a video of a Fabrengen with Rabbi Yoel. I sing sometimes at a Fabrengen with my class for Mesifta. It's very massive. The niggin, gay in so mikveh, ayay, learning chassidus, ayay, aber, ayay. A lot of people sing it. I thought it was just a nice hergish of a bacher after a bottle of mashke one night. Then I see, a couple of years ago, I see a video of Rabbi Yoel at a Fabrengen, and Rabbi Yoel's being masbir this niggin. Gay into mikveh, and gay to mikveh. Learning chassidus, and learn chassidus. So I came with this idea. Gay into mikveh. Okay. In Mesifta, you fabring about the actions. Go to mikveh, chitas, Rambam, what's your achlata, mashpia, rabbi this, rabbi that. Zal is already, me learned chassidus, me geht in Zal, me kommt, me learned, beshufi, me endigt am sheikhim. So you have gay into mikveh Mesifta, and then you have learning chassidus in Zal. Aber, Rabbi Yoel verbringt, aber was liegt bei dir in Kishkis? What's lying unter dir beim Kishkis? You're doing the routines, you're doing the motions, but was liegt bei dir in the Kishkis? Who are you be'emes? And aber ulai yeshleimar is when you become a Talmidim Hashluchim. Aber so now you don't have the mashkiach, and now you're, so to say, Dan Hol and Alter is clogging that nobody's looking after you. What the Bacher wants to see is as du liegst in dem mit an emes, das bist du. Amol, it's hard. And everybody is their emes and a, like Rabbi Winner said very well, not everybody is nispol from what the other one is nispol. And that has a different side to that nekuda. Jeder Shliach hat was zu geben. What I said before, this Shliach who was asked to come on the Shabbaton by the Simcha Stark in the class, he was the one that accomplished. Chinuch is don't tell me, show me. Don't tell me, show me. Shlichis is don't tell the Bachrim, show them. So number one, they want to see emes. Number two, is leaguing them. Number one, they want to see emes. Number two is know every single shliach has what to give and could accomplish. You don't need to be the shliach on the microphone. I remember I was in Melbourne with a shliach. Oh, he was mamish in the Himmelin. He was unbelievable. Na gute Wege, gelebt a tefach hecher. His name was Mendy Man. He's a shliach today in Milwaukee. We come there. So they give out, in Melbourne, they give out these jobs. Okay? So he got Shir Rambam. You have to make whatever. It was hand down from the Shluchim before. He goes into the Shluchim office. He takes out the tzach list of Melbourne. And he also needs money to serve ice cream, to serve this, to make a ganze das. He decided he's calling the first guy in the tzach list that he could get through to, but he's not going through A, B, C, he's starting from Z. So he opens it up. I don't remember if there's someone in Melbourne with the last name Z, or he tried someone he couldn't get through. Who did he get to? I'm sorry if there's someone here related. Mr. Werdiger, W. Mr. Werdiger, the Werdiger Hall in Melbourne, Alavason. Mr. Werdiger is a Weltsbaltstucke. He calls the home number. Hello, Mr. Werdiger. He gets through. I think it was Reb Shloime. Answers the phone. He goes, Mr. Werdiger, is there a time I could come over to see you? He says, tell me on the phone, what do you need? He says, we're having over here with the Greste Chayes, like, we're having over here in Yeshiva Shir Rambam, and the Rambam Shir is going to in the Rebbe say, so what do you need? He says, tonight's Shir is going to cost $30. Could I count on you for $30? He says, come over, I will give you 50. But you know what? That Shir Rambam, und er hat ein paar Bochern sind gekommen, und mit sie hat Ruf getan. And there's on a Shir minus I would suggest to you. So that's Nekuda number 2. Jeder einer hat was zu geben. Don't tell them, show up as much as you could. And the last half of Nekuda that I want to say is, Amol is schwer, and the Ashkoch is not there, and it's hard to go. I would very much suggest this. You have a time of your day that you feel you're not being productive and it's not working. The Rebbe promised, there's a whole section in this booklet from the Alter Rebbe, Nasa Moiche V'Liba Zakenel of Pam Kocha. The number one thing, in my humble opinion, that you could do to make your Shlichus year a success is make a chavrusa, and even in the Seder, befrat in the Storim, make a chavrusa with another bacher. That's going to schlep you there. It's going to make you feel like you have an achrayas. You have to be there. You're having a hard time in the morning, make a chavrusa with a bacher. And they will see that du meinst es mit anemes. So l'chaim shluchim, jeder einer hat was zu geben. Don't tell them, show them. And if it's geht schwer, make a chavrusa with a bacher. L'chaim, l'chaim.
Okay, in just a minute, we're going to have the bracha achreina, and then everybody's going to go to the other side of the mechitza for the grand Talmidim Hashluchim picture. If some of the bachrim over here didn't eat, there's some food brought, a few more pounds of chicken and egg roll, so please eat. Zagavas l'chaim. If you have friends that left, you could tell them to come back. Sign for the food and for the picture, very important. As well, the hamshach of the Talmidim Hashluchim Kinus will be on Shabbos. We're going to be having, Amir Tashem, the exact pratim location time will be announced tomorrow. We're going to have a flyer sent out. We're going to have a fabringen over here in Crown Heights with some chashav mashpiyim. As well, there's going to be fabringen by the ale. Commendations will be taken care of. Kiragil. Information for that will be going out as well. So Amir Tashem, there'll be a hemshech of this Talmidim Hashluchim, Kinus, and not just now, but during the entire year. Like mentioned earlier, there's going to be things specifically geared dafka towards you, the Tayyid Talmidim Hashluchim, which Yirtz Hashem, what we're going to be able to be payal, the Shluchim able to be payal this year, is going to be Shalei L'Fiyerech any other year, but not to compare. It's going to be Le'elu Le'ela. So everyone should make a bracha achreina, divas daf bracha achreina, followed by the picture on the other side.